No introduction to probability would be complete without a discussion of the gambler's fallacy. The gambler's fallacy, in a nutshell, comes down to someone failing to recognize that some true random events are independent, and instead they think the probability of one event somehow changes based on whatever happened in previous events. Now, the events are independent, but the person doesn't recognize that. Now, the gambler's fallacy can operate in two completely different directions. Someone may think the probability of an event is greater than it really is, or they may think the probability of an event is less than it really is. To understand how that happens, let's look at the classic example of the gambler's fallacy, the story behind how it got its name, using roulette. In roulette, you have a wheel with a bunch of numbered slots in it. And the casino worker, called a croupier, spins the wheel and then drops a ball that bounces around until it lands in one of those numbered slots. You bet on where do you think the ball will land, and if you're right, you win. Now, you can bet on all sorts of different things. You can pick an exact number. I think it's going to land on 9. Or notice the numbers are colored red or black. You can bet on a color. I think it will land on red. Or maybe you think it will land on an even number. And there are a lot more options for gamblers. And notice there's a green 0, so there's 37 numbers in the wheel that range from 0 up to 36. Now, I guess I should note that some American casinos also have a green 00. And mathematically, those zeros are how the casino makes its money. But let's not get into the weeds here. We're just interested in the gambler's fallacy. Now, legend has it that it was first documented in a Monte Carlo casino in 1913. It's also called the Monte Carlo fallacy. And in that case, some gamblers noticed that the ball had gone through a series of spins that always landed on black, a black number. They started thinking, it's been black over and over again. Maybe it's red's turn. I know on average it'll all balance out, so if it's been black over and over, it must be red's turn to come up. I think it's more likely the next roll is going to be a red instead of a black. So they started betting on red, thinking that the probability of red had somehow increased simply because the last several spins had been black. Now, the gambler's fallacy can work the other way too. Someone can see all those black spins and think, hey, black is hot on this wheel. Black's more likely to keep showing up than is red. So I'm going to start betting on black. In this case, they're thinking that the probability of black has increased simply because the last several spins had also been black. But they're wrong. The previous spins have no effect at all on the next spin. They're independent. The gamblers are being tricked by a statistical illusion. I mean, if you spin the wheel enough times, you'll inevitably see streaks of certain colors completely due to chance. In fact, about 0.074% of the time, you'll see 10 black numbers in a row. Note, that's a little less than 1 in 1,024 because of that green 0. Right? Now, I digress, but again, 0.074% of the time may not be a lot, but it happens. And around 2.7% of the time, you'll get 5 black numbers in a row. But it doesn't change the probability that the next roll will be a black or a red. And casinos are betting, no pun intended, on people falling into this fallacy. Now, several years ago, I was walking through a casino floor in Vegas. I do like casinos. And this caught my eye. I had to stop and take a picture of it just for class. It was a big display board right next to the roulette wheel showing the results that had been obtained. What caught my attention was this information up at the top. Notice? Elite numbers. Don't you just love that? Elite. Ooh. I mean, these are the 5 numbers that came up the most often in the last 300 spins. And notice they also have the poor performers, the 5 numbers that came up the least often in the last 300 spins. Statistically, this is incredible. I mean, it's ingenious and despicable all at the same time. The casino is being completely honest. They're not lying to you. These are the 5 numbers that came up the most in the last 300 games. And these are the 5 numbers that came up the least in the last 300 games. But this tells you absolutely nothing about what's going to happen next. I mean, the grass is green, the sky is blue, and in 300 spins, some number will come up more than all of the other numbers, and some number will come up the least of all of the possible numbers. It just has to be. Some number has to be at the top, and some number has to be at the bottom. That's just reality. But that doesn't mean anything. This gives you 0 useful information. Again, the beauty is they're not lying to you. They're being honest. They're just counting on you making the gambler's fallacy. And remember, the gambler's fallacy can go either direction. For example, you might think that certain numbers are hot and likely to keep coming up, or you might feel that certain numbers haven't come up enough and now it's their turn. Whichever type of mistake you're prone to make, they've got you covered, telling you the exact useless information you think you need to know. And they're telling you so that you can keep making that mistake. Whoever thought of this was a genius, an evil genius, but a genius. Now, of course, there have been times when a roulette wheel is broken or out of balance or something, but that's much, much, much less common than people getting cleaned out due to the gambler's fallacy. Don't fall into that trap. If you're ever walking through a casino and thinking, oh wow, that number is hot, remember probability. Remember the gambler's fallacy and just keep walking, okay? Bye for now.